Today, we are going to unfold the blueprint of the marvelous microcosm called the human body. The title is The Technology of DNA Replication and the Secrets Hidden in Its Errors. When we usually talk about health, we mention things like what we eat and how we exercise. However, the final destination toward which all those activities are ultimately directed is only one: the DNA located in the deepest part of our body. In this session, we will explore together how sophisticated the trillions of replication processes our bodies perform every day are, and what decisive impact the typos occurring in that process have on our lives and diseases. The cells of our body do not rest for a single moment. Even at this very moment, about 2 trillion cell divisions are occurring inside your body. Every time this division occurs, the task that must be performed is the replication of 3 billion pairs of DNA-based sequences. Imagine it. It is a task of copying 3 billion letters, 2 trillion times every day, without a single mistake. The accuracy of this massive process is marvelous, to the extent that only one error occurs per 1 billion bases. This process proceeds largely in 4 stages: unwinding, to open the double helix; priming, to announce the starting point; synthesis, to connect new bases; and ligation, to complete the strand. We call the site where replication actually takes place the replication fork. When an enzyme called helicase unwinds the DNA like opening a zipper, numerous molecular machines move following it. The interesting point here is that due to the directionality of DNA, the leading strand at the top is synthesized continuously, but the lagging strand at the bottom is made piece by piece. We call these pieces Okazaki fragments. The process of reattaching these fragments to make one completed helix is just like sophisticated watch parts interlocking and rotating in perfect harmony. Are you aware of the fact that computer systems created by humans actually imitate the principles of our bodies as they are? The ATGC base sequences of DNA are essentially identical to the binary system of 0 and 1 in computers. For the stability of the system, cells never take the original DNA outside the nucleus. Instead, they copy only the necessary parts in the form of mRNA. This is completely identical to the principle where we press copy on a computer to temporarily store data in the clipboard and then press paste to put it where needed. In other words, all human creative activities and digital technologies are ultimately acts of replicating our own life principles. The fact that our blueprint is an information system as clear as digital code suggests that nutritional management must be as precise as data management. Ultimately, everything starts from DNA. Only when healthy DNA serves as the foundation can cells produce proteins according to the correct blueprint and perform their functions correctly. Healthy cells gather to form healthy organs, which leads to a healthy body. We must go one step further here. A healthy body gives birth to healthy thoughts, and those healthy thoughts gather to become the basis of all our creative activities, our words, actions, and development. The true starting point of the saying, "A healthy mind resides in a healthy body," is healthy DNA. And this explains why managing cells, the smallest unit of our body, is the entirety of health management. Now we will look in earnest at how the security system of DNA replication works. The first line of defense is proofreading, which is immediate correction occurring in real time at the replication site. Polymerase, the enzyme that synthesizes DNA, is more than just a worker who attaches bases. This enzyme performs a function much like a skilled writer checking for typos while writing at the same time. Every time it attaches one base, it reviews in a flash of less than 0.1 seconds asking, does this pair match? If a G, guanine, accidentally entered the A, adenine, spot, polymerase stops synthesis immediately. And as if pressing the backspace key on a computer, it goes backward and cuts out the wrong base, exonuclease activity. Then it inserts the correct base again. Thanks to this amazing instant repair process, the replication error rate is lowered by 100 times. However, even this perfect-looking worker has a fatal weakness. It is oxidative stress. If there are too many free radicals in our body, it is like the eyes of the worker, polymerase, becoming blurred. Errors occur where it just passes by even though a typo was made, or it attaches the wrong base. Do you see why Usana's powerful antioxidant network is essential at this replication site? It is because it plays the role of removing harmful substances from the scene so that the worker can catch typos with a clear mind. Then, what happens to the persistent typos that pass through the first on-site security team? Don't worry. In our body, the second precision security team, the mismatch repair (MMR) system, is waiting. This system is a precision inspection team that passes through while scanning the entire newly made DNA strand immediately after replication is completed. A very amazing biological intelligence is discovered here. There are two DNA strands. How does the inspection team distinguish which side is the original and which is the copy just made? Our cells put a kind of mark called a methyl group on the original strand. The inspection team recognizes the side without this mark as the copy and finds the mismatched bases that occurred there. When proteins like MutS and MutL form a team and discover an error, they don't just change one letter, but they cut out the entire surrounding area and rewrite it. It is a bold measure for perfect restoration. But everyone, there are fuels and tools that are absolutely necessary for this inspection team to move properly. They are zinc and magnesium. Zinc maintains the tongue-shaped structure of the inspection proteins, and magnesium is an essential cofactor for enzymes to use energy to cut and attach DNA. If we do not consume enough minerals, this precision inspection team will have no tools and will sit idly, and eventually, uncorrected errors will accumulate in our body. Lastly, we will look at the system that opposes not only mistakes in the replication process, but also external factors that constantly attack us. They are BER, base excision repair, and NER, nucleotide excision repair. Our DNA is attacked by the air we breathe, the food we eat, and even the sunlight we receive. First, BER is precision strike recovery. It operates when exactly one base is deformed due to free radicals or toxins. It is a sophisticated task like taking out only one broken brick from a brick wall and putting in a new one. On the other hand, NER is large-scale reconstruction recovery. It is mainly activated when the DNA structure is severely twisted by ultraviolet rays. UV rays make DNA strands tangle together, creating a huge lump. Since this lump causes the derailment of the replication train, the NER team cuts out this entire twisted area in a chunk and reconstructs it cleanly based on a new blueprint. This process is a task that consumes a huge amount of energy. The abundant vitamin B group and antioxidants provided by Usana CellSentials constantly supply energy and deliver repair materials so that this large-scale maintenance work is not interrupted. Even if the blueprint is torn and dirty by external attacks, the power that allows our body to fix it like new every morning without giving up, that is the most vital reason why we must supply nutrition to our cells. If all recovery systems fail, the cell faces one of three fates. First, apoptosis, committing suicide for system protection. Second, cellular senescence, becoming a zombie cell that stops functioning and spreads inflammation. Third, the most dangerous case, the transition to a cancer cell that proliferates infinitely with broken breaks. All these tragedies eventually start from the accumulation of DNA damage. Now we will deal in depth with mutation fixation, the stage we must be most wary of. What happens if the correction systems you saw earlier fail to play their roles? It doesn't end with just one typo occurring. If an error that occurred during the DNA replication process is not corrected and passes to the next replication cycle, the copying machine of our body, polymerase, starts to recognize that error as original, normal information. We call this mutation fixation. The reason why this is scary is that from this point on, even the sophisticated recovery system of our body loses the criteria to judge what went wrong. It is the moment the wrong blueprint is registered as an officially permitted drawing. Mutations fixed like this create abnormal proteins. Like a car assembled with parts that don't fit the engine, the cell starts to creak. Hormone receptors break and cannot receive signals, or the doors of the mitochondria that make energy close. Eventually, as this process repeats, the cell faces a system shutdown state where waste piles up and energy is exhausted. This is the reality of chronic diseases, rapid aging, and degenerative diseases we experience. The complacency of, surely this one small error won't matter, becomes the starting point that collapses the huge network of our body. Therefore, it is more important than anything to provide an optimal environment to the cells during the golden time when replication and recovery occur fiercely before the mutation is fixed. The following content is a shocking statistic that all population should pay attention to. It is the MTHFR gene mutation. According to statistics, more than about 40% of population have this mutation. This is not just a statistical figure, but it means that 4 out of 10 of you find DNA management much more difficult than others, even if you eat good food. Of course, this mutation is held by 30 to 50% of people worldwide. Hispanics and Mexicans have a mutation rate of over about 50%, belonging to the highest in the world. European and North American whites have the mutation at about 30 to 40%. Asians, Koreans, Chinese, Japanese occupy a fairly high proportion between about 35 and 45%. Interestingly, African blacks have a very low mutation rate of less than about 5%. The MTHFR enzyme is the key worker that converts the regular folate we consumed into active folate that cells can actually use for replication and repair. However, if there is a mutation in this gene, it is like the hands and feet of this worker are tied. Imagine a situation where the toll gate of the metabolic highway is closed. No matter how many supply vehicles run toward it, they cannot enter the cell and will rot on the road. Due to this, blood homocysteine levels skyrocket, blood vessels are attacked, and in the field where DNA should be replicated and errors corrected, sloppy replication occurs due to a lack of materials. Usana presents a scientific solution at this point. If the entrance is blocked, you can just put in materials in a completed form that do not need to pass through that entrance. The active folate contained in Usana products is like a high pass that does not go through the toll gate, helping even the 40% of people with the gene mutation to immediately start DNA repair. This is Usana's unique precision nutritional science that transcends genetic limits. Why did people around the world come to have such an inconvenient mutation? Evolutionary geneticists see this as a trace of survival chosen by mankind to survive. There are 2 interesting theories here. First is the malaria survival theory. In the past, when malaria was rampant, malaria parasites intercepted human active folate to replicate their own DNA and proliferate. At this time, people whose folate metabolism ability fell due to the MTHFR mutation paradoxically became deficient in active folate in the cell, becoming a barren environment where parasites found it hard to breed, allowing them to survive malaria. Second is the famine adaptation theory. In the era of great famine, when there was nothing to eat, this mutation played a role in slowing down the energy metabolism rate. By intentionally delaying the folate metabolism process, it prioritized distributing limited resources only to places directly related to survival, changing the body to a saving mode to endure for a long time, even in situations where nutrients are scarce. Eventually, this mutation was a survival weapon that allowed past humanity to overcome disease and hunger. However, in modern society where nutrition is abundant and lifespan has lengthened, this slow metabolic ability has instead become the cause of toxin accumulation and falling DNA recovery power. Now we must supplement this survival tool of the past with the modern wisdom called active nutrients. Our blueprint is being destroyed not only by internal replication mistakes, but also by assassins constantly flying in from the outside. Let's analyze those 4 core factors in detail. The first is oxidative stress. The free radicals generated in the process of us breathing and making energy are like acid rain that makes a sophisticated machine called DNA rust. It directly hits the base sequences and twists the structure. The second is the biggest enemy of modern people, glycotoxins, AGEs. Excess sugar in the blood sticks to DNA strands. This is like making the path where replication enzymes move into a sticky swamp, slowing down the replication speed and causing serious malfunctions. The third is mineral deficiency. Enzymes that repair DNA cannot work alone. They must hold tools called zinc and magnesium in their hands to operate. However, the soil acidification and processed food consumption of modern people have taken away these essential tools. A repairman without tools can't help but just watch, no matter how hard he tries to work. The last fourth is environmental toxins. Heavy metals in fine dust and environmental hormones disrupt the DNA replication signal system itself. They cause wrong commands to be given, accelerating the transition to cancer cells. These four factors attack us 24 hours a day, tearing and dirtying the blueprint. Then, how should we overcome this total crisis? Usana CellSentials goes beyond the level of simply filling what is lacking and employs a three-dimensional and intelligent DNA management strategy. First, it is the full-scale restart of the repair factory. It supplies more than 20 types of vitamins and minerals in optimal ratios so that cells can fix DNA themselves. It maximizes repair efficiency by providing the best tools and sufficient rest to the repairmen. Second, it is the source blockade of bad genes. By sufficiently supplying the active folate and vitamin B12 mentioned earlier, it puts a seal sticker called a methyl group on errors that have already occurred or potential cancer genes. It is epigenetic management that turns off the switch so that bad information is not read. Third is Usana's unique InCelligence technology. This is a technology that awakens autophagy, the cell's self-cleaning ability. Instead of neglecting cells or mitochondria damaged to the point where recovery is impossible, it makes the cell itself decompose them and recycle them into new energy sources. Fix what can be fixed with your best effort and clean up the trash that cannot be fixed. This clear and powerful strategy is the secret to why Usana CellSentials keeps your blueprint in the cleanest state. The spiral motion of the solar system and the DNA double helix of our body resemble each other to a marvelous degree. The order of the huge universe and the microscopic order inside our body are speaking in the same language. Our 37 trillion cells are dynamically replicated and fiercely corrected every moment, like the spiral of the universe. Making this huge flow without error is the true reason why we supply nutrition to our cells. Everyone, now I'm going to tell you the most core conclusion of today's lecture and the answer to why it must be Usana among numerous supplements. It is Usana InCelligence technology. Past nutrition was a concept of supplementation that simply filled what was lacking. If vitamins were lacking, you put in vitamins. If minerals were lacking, you ate minerals. However, Usana changed the dimension of the question. If cells already have the intelligence to protect and repair themselves, can we awaken that intelligence? What started from this question is exactly the InCelligence technology. Our cells have antennas that read external stimuli or signals from nutrients. Usana's InCelligence technology sends a sophisticated code to these antennas through a specific plant nutrient complex. When this signal is delivered, amazing changes occur inside the cell. First, it directly activates the antioxidant defense system inside the cell. Antioxidants taken from the outside fight one-on-one and disappear, but antioxidant enzymes, glutathione, SOD, etc., created by the cell itself through InCelligence signals, protect DNA with a power hundreds or thousands of times stronger than external antioxidants. It is fully activating the internal quarantine system inside my body. Second, it induces autophagy of mitochondria. As I mentioned earlier, if DNA replication errors pile up, cells age. InCelligence technology finds old mitochondria that are exhausted from making energy and are emitting toxins, decomposes them, and commands them to make new and clean mitochondria again with those materials. Cellular level remodeling is occurring. Then why should we be so obsessed with cell unit nutritional supply? The answer is clear. All diseases and aging of our body do not start from organs or tissues, but from a single cell that constitutes those organs and the DNA replication error within it. How can our body be healthy when cells cannot read the blueprint correctly, cannot make energy, and cannot clean up trash? Decorating the outside and covering symptoms is only a temporary fix. Fundamental healing and change are possible only in the most microscopic world called the cell, when the intelligence they have operates normally. Usana's cell unit nutritional supply goes beyond simple health management and is a realignment of life process that makes your body function in its best state, in harmony with the spiral order of the universe, exactly the way it was originally designed. Your 37 trillion cells are waiting for the InCelligence signal even at this moment. When you erase typos in the blueprint, replace old energy, and have the power to protect yourself, true freedom of health finally begins. I hope you begin that marvelous cellular revolution with Usana. What we learned today is not simply biological knowledge. It is an action guideline we must choose every day for sustainable health. DNA is not a fixed destiny. Depending on what nutrition we supply and what environment we create, the blueprint can be rewritten. Reducing errors and increasing recovery power does not happen overnight, but when the right cofactors are equipped, our cells exert the power to heal themselves. I will conclude the lecture. Your body is still struggling toward perfection. Please send a reliable supporter called Usana to that fierce replication site. Accurate information replication will create a healthy life, and those lives gathered will change the world to be healthier. I sincerely hope today becomes a turning point to maintain your blueprint most beautifully. Thank you for watching.